Well, single parents, pensioners, welfare recipients, and low to middle income households are expected to be the big winners from a $14.6 billion cost of living relief budget package. But Labor's targeted cash splash will not ease the inflation pain for everyone. In fact, they could make it a whole lot worse. I'm joined now by University of New South Wales economics professor Gigi Foster, who joins me in the studio. Gigi, thank you so much for coming in on this exciting budget eve. Are you excited? I know I'm excited.
I'm so excited, James. You know, this is what, the maybe 6th or 7th budget that I've really gotten my claws into. And as you say, being in the lockout room is not really what it used to be cracked up to be. And we've had a lot of drops, so we can talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you, too, about, all of this spending. I ran through some of it a minute ago. Now, the treasurer, he said the other day, look, we're going to be spending all this money, but it's not going to be inflationary. Have a listen to this.
What can we afford to do? What assistance can we afford to provide in the most responsible way? And what impact would this have on the inflation forecasts in the budget? And there'll be other examples, but the energy bill relief is the best example because it shows that by getting some of these bills lower than they would otherwise be, that obviously has puts downward pressure on the inflation forecasts in the budget.
Gigi, you're the economics professor, so help me and our viewers out here. How is it that you put more money in people's pockets and it's not inflationary?
Well, I tell you, there is one way he could do it. I'm not going to say he is going to do it, but I think his idea here is obviously to win votes. He wants to appeal to people. He wants to help them in their cost of living struggles. And he wants to claim that that's not going to actually be worse for the deficit, for the debt, for accumulation of debt. What I think that he's going to be pointing to tomorrow is what he's called so far reprioritizing in the rest of the budget, right? And so he is, for example, restructuring the petroleum tax. We talked about that in your intro. And if you're letting people have money to help them pay their electricity bills, but also restructuring this tax on the companies, maybe there's kind of a wash aspect to that. So I think that's where he's going to probably go.
Right. But is there anything that the government can do to actually, put cost of living front and center without adding to inflation unless they actually stop spending so much money?
Well, they could stop spending so much money on a lot of things that I think would make Australia a lot better off. For example, all the COVID bureaucracy, all of the various different red tape issues. Have you ever tried to open a family daycare in this country? It's almost impossible.
I've never tried that.
Right. Well, let me tell you, it's hard for a lot of people who are trying to comply with various rules which aren't actually helpful to Australian prosperity. So if the government stops spending money on creating and then bureaucratizing all those rules, then yeah, they could probably help out inflation a little bit.
And, with all that spending, of course, there comes debt. I know there's going to be a surplus announced tomorrow night for 1 year, and who knows what's going to be after that. But the interest bill on all that debt is $60 million a day, and a lot of that comes from the $300 billion spent on COVID stimulus, something you railed about. And, just give us a little bit of your thoughts on this hangover that we've still got from COVID.
Oh, we're going to have it for a generation, James. This was what I was saying in 2020, and unfortunately, I hate to say that I told you so, but this is just being proven correct. We are now going to be able to spend less on everything that keeps people happier, healthier, living longer lives, because we're going to have to service that debt. That is an intergenerational burden that we have shifted onto the shoulders of our children, and they are not the only ones who are going to be feeling it, but they're going to be feeling it the longest time.
Yeah, well, and those 4 sweet little words, I told you so. There's quite a few of us on this station who've been saying this about a lot of the COVID stuff, but I digress. And of course, beyond COVID, there's the other C word, climate. And they've promised incentives for, I'm really curious about how this works here, developers to build clean, green homes. Walk us through this, and also I'm really curious about this whole idea where they seem to be trying to shift the home ownership dream away from, we still are all going to try at least get a unit or something like that, to now these big trusts that are going to build rent-to-own things. Cynically, I look at this and think renters are more likely to vote Labor, and they want to lock people into that model. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it's possible. Well, the main thing that I think about what they're doing in housing, as well as what they're doing in aged care and everything else, is that they're dealing with the symptoms of the problem. There is no addressing of the structural issues in Australia's economy. Why is it so difficult to buy a home? Why is it so difficult to rent? Why is it so difficult to use money that you're earning in your 20s to pay for needed expenses? Because we have the superannuation system that keeps it away from you. There's many things that the government could be doing to structurally address problems that we have, and we we really need to address them before, we really recover in this country from COVID.
And finally, just the last thing I want to ask you about is productivity. What can the government be doing to increase productivity? Because it seems to me that we keep getting bigger as a country, but our GDP per person doesn't go anywhere. And in many ways, that means that we're kind of going backwards. Is that right?
Absolutely. Labor productivity is a big problem. So, the government should get out of the way, stop with all of the bureaucratic mandates and the restrictions, and let people be innovative and reward them for that innovation. Don't get them going overseas because they feel like opportunities are better over there. I think the immigration measures are a good idea that we have coming in this budget. Getting more skilled labor on these shores will be helpful, as you have said yourself, and we are both immigrants, right? I mean, Australia is a nation of immigrants, so that's terrific, but we've got to support our businesses and our people more and realize they are the engines of the country.